Okay, well, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Magical Manifestation. I'm MJ Lace, and I'm a trainee social worker. Well, trainee in terms of I am doing lots of study to become a mental health and learning difficulty practitioner. I work with the Welsh Government. I work with the British Association of Social Workers. I'm always in learning. I've been in learning for 30 years, and I won't leave university because they thought I'd never go. And this morning is a really powerful morning because last night it was Halloween. Now, people think, oh, Halloween, it's all about trick and treating. It's all about an American load of rubbish where we all get dressed up as witches and wizards and scare people and run around being frightened. Well, it's true. I've got friends that were at Universal Studios last night in the States, and what a night they had. There were some amazing theatricals going on, and I was privy to the videos. Oh, how I wished I was there. But I'm not. I'm back in Wales. And I'm in Wales because I am continuing with my work helping people of lived experience, that's disabled people and non-disabled people, get the help they need. Why non-disabled people? Well, you're either disabled or you're temporarily disabled or you're yet to be disabled. That's the reality. Not very many people die well in their sleep. In fact, only about 13% of us. So I believe that we all need a bit of magic. And I believe we need a bit of magic because I I am a little bit strange in that I've passed over the other side 3 times. I stopped breathing for 3 minutes, and I was brought back to life with one of those, and it's a, I think they call it, yeah, they do, a near death experience, and I'd never even heard of NDEs until it happened to me. And then people said, well, you should read this story and meet this person and talk about it. But I didn't really like it. It wasn't an easy time in my life. And it's only been really in the last maybe 2 years I've started to look at what that process means, and it's meant some amazing things for me. It meant that I'm not frightened of passing over anymore. It means that in those minutes I feel that I was shown that I am everything. You are too. We're all part of the same thing. We're all part of the same whole. We're all part of the same galaxy, world, universal experience. And that leads me on to Halloween. You know, people think that the 31st of October and Halloween is all about witchcraft. And in fact, you know, King James actually created witches. And do you know why he created a witch? He created a witch because he called her a witch because she was a powerful woman with property and a business, and she was what they called a healer. And she had knowledge. She also wouldn't stand for any rubbish. She wouldn't kowtow to the establishment. She wouldn't accept things that she didn't think were fair, and she spoke up and spoke out. Oh, and here's our angel lady. I will introduce her in a minute, but let me finish this. So yeah, King James created witches, and he did it because there was a powerful lady who he didn't like, and he didn't like her because she had land, and she had a voice, and she spoke up and she spoke out, and she said what she thought and thought what she said. And he then decided that he would get hold of her, you know, get his soldiers to go and get her, and they would shave her to see completely and her head to see if they could find the mark of the devil, 666. And of course, they didn't, because, of course, that's not a reality. As a result, then, because he didn't get his way, he then tortured her to do things, say things that she did that she hadn't done. And then, of course, as a result, they put her to death. Now, on his deathbed, King James actually refuted the idea of witches and said that he made it up because he was scared of her and she was too powerful. And actually, after they killed her, of course, who took back all the land will have a wild stab in the dark, which is what he'd get if he was here now from me. He did. The crown got all of her land and all of her belongings. And of course, that was the whole point of the King James Bible. So I haven't got a problem with Bibles, but the ideology that all the women's books were left out, and we found them now scattered around the world, the Book of Mary and the Book of Ruth, that weren't included because, of course, men sat round and decided how we could control people. And the way we could control them was create sin. And of course, there is no sin as far as I'm concerned. We're just people getting on, getting by and getting through. But we are everything, as I alluded to. My death meant that I'm aware, even more aware than I already was, that I am you, you are me, and we are us. And there is no separation. You are just a disparate part of me that's not yet been aligned and brought back together. Because at the end of the day, as I alluded to, or in fact I stated, there is an end to this experience on the world, but that isn't the end. It can't be, because energy doesn't dissipate, it can only transmute. And as a result, I'm aware that my energy will go on for eternity. And if that's the case, just think for a moment, this might be just a training ground. And maybe there's greater things in heaven and earth than we know about. And I certainly have found that to be the case all of my life, but also since my death. Interesting concept, isn't it? We know my life, we know my death, and we know the in-between. And here I am talking about it. But this morning, I have, well, a most magnificent human who I know she can introduce herself. But I'm just going to say that Anna Taylor is a lady who is a person of lived experience, like myself. I work with her. I am fortunate enough to work with this lady. She has the most incredible energy. And she also has a few insights to that heaven and earth thing that I was talking about. She's a producer of angel cards. Well, she can talk about what she produces. I shouldn't talk for her. But I am so excited, and I'm so pleased to see those that are here and those that are online and those that are watching this later. And in fact, we do have people in the audience. And maybe Anna, maybe she will want to invite somebody from the audience, or maybe even me, to have a reading. But who knows? I think we're going to talk about all things heaven and earth, but we're definitely going to have to bring her on the stage in order that we can talk to her. And you know, you get to see me, but now you get to see a beautiful version of what God put on earth. So I'm going to say, with no further ado, I'm going to bring Anna Grace Taylor onto the stage, and I am so grateful to have her as our guest of honor. Good morning.
Hello.
Anna. Hello. It looks very
nice beaming on our heads today, haven't we?
We have. I think perhaps the heavens are shining upon us, but why wouldn't they?
Of course. It's actually a really sunny day here where I am. So it's kind of nice to just, after yesterday, which felt like the darkest, kind of rainiest day, just to have a bit of light. So thank you so much for that lovely introduction, MJ.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, welcome to you. And please, I can do you no justice, even though I can say that I love you and I love working with you. And every time we're together, it makes my heart sing. But I'm sure you can introduce the very practical things that you do and who you are.
Yeah, I can do, but I would also say the same about you, because you know now that I'm really all about people and all about the connections that I have on earth as well as heaven. So to be honest, it's just a joy that we get to have a lovely conversation, isn't it?
I know. It's like exciting, and it's also, I feel a little bit illicit. It's like it's such it doesn't feel like work. I mean, nothing feels like work, right?
It
But I get to do this, and then this gets to go into our community. So just to say, we have a community of people who are beginning to gather together.
so lovely.
Yeah.
So lovely. So yeah, I am an angel therapist. I'm an intuitive, and I am an author. That kind of includes so many different things, as we've spoken about lots of times. Mainly, that includes me working with people as I'm talking to you now on Zoom. I do lots of different sessions and readings and things for people. I teach various different events and speaking at different things. And I think social media was honestly made for someone like me. I have been so lucky, and I started sharing on my Facebook page when it was, you know, much easier to reach people, and my Facebook page grew, and I absolutely love sharing on there, speaking on there, writing on there. And I started to write lots of different messages. Actually, really, that's how my cards came about, because I started to share messages from the angels that were really just for me, like you share. You know, what we share is often the things that we need to know at the time, you know. And then I just thought, right, this is how I'm going to be able to share in the world and do the work that I want to do. And I was always passionate about it. In fact, I've never done anything else. I've never had another job other than what I do. So I don't consider my work my job. I just consider it an extension of me. And I feel like that's probably one of the luckiest things about my life, really. So yes, very, very grateful. And like you, I do not consider this kind of conversation any kind of issue at all. It's my favorite thing in the world. And when you asked me, I was like, yes, of course I will. Apart from the fact that I've had a cold, so I was wondering whether I'd have a voice, but I'm fine, so we're all good. And yeah, and then I recently, just these cards here, Messages of Grace, have released these cards thanks to the publisher Blue Angel in Australia. They are out in the UK right now and about to come out in the US and Canada as well.
And you were kind enough to send me a set. And I have to say that the first cards that I drew were a message, you know, exactly what I needed. I'm sure people say it to you all the time. I'm sure you won't get bored, because I'm sure you love hearing it as well. But I'm sure you hear this again and again, that, you know, what came out was exactly what I needed to hear at exactly the right time in exactly the right way. So, you know, a blessing, and thank you, even though, of course, I did get a bit of an extra present, which I sent back to you. That was funny.
Yes, yes. Basically, this is the I will gladly share this reason. This is why we need access services, because if you leave me to my own devices, then if something like this happens. But basically, I thought, oh well, this is really good. I need something posted, and I was going to send your cards to you, and I decided to ask Royal Mail to do a collection for me. And I didn't realise that there was already a parcel on my doorstep, which was makeup, and they picked up that and sent it to you instead.
And luckily, it wasn't my colour. Otherwise, I might have it.
Actually, to be fair, I was quite glad it was just that, because you could have got anything. You could have got cat food or something.
I haven't got a cat, otherwise that would have been useful. But it came straight back to you. And of course, I have a Charles who helps me. I don't think Charles is a noun, is it? But I do have a Charles. I do have Charles. Yeah, I have Charles who collects whatever I need, and drives me, posts for me, helps me, because of course I'm a person of lived experience, and I have support in the world because I use a wheelchair. But yeah, so there was no problems, because it arrived to me. I opened it, I saw what your makeup was, I enjoyed viewing it, I enjoyed seeing what you bought from Charlotte, and then I enjoyed giving it to Charles to send back to you.
Well, you know, you just had a little insight into my daily experience, didn't you? There we go.
But it'll stay with me. I don't think I've ever...
Yeah, exactly. You won't forget that story, will you? You'll be like, I remember when I got your angel cards, I also got a concealer at the same time.
Absolutely. Which is interesting, when the angel cards are illuminating everything that we need to know, whilst the concealer is preventing that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, you know, under the eye bags, especially in the morning. I'm the opposite to you, MJ. I'm not a morning person.
I am.
So you getting up at like 4 a.m. or whatever you get up at, I'm like, oh my god, that's the middle of my night. So yeah, we're opposite. You and I probably couldn't live together, to be honest. We wouldn't gel too well. But yeah, this time of day, fine, but you know, not too early. I'm good. So and actually I think half of that is one of the other reasons why working online really works for me, because lots of my audience are in America, and so by the time I like working, they've just got up. So perfect.
Yeah. Whereas you see, when I work abroad, I'm basically on 3 time zones, and by the time I've finished, I've got about 3 hours left, because if I'm over in the UAE and we've got people in the States, it's a long timeline. It can be kind of a 22 hour timeline if you're not careful. So that's great that you work with people in the States. So you work a lot over there. Yeah, you've got a lot of
I do. I mean, apart from the fact that I started to have a lot of friends and people that did the kind of work I did, because I trained with Doreen Virtue before she changed her face. And
magnificent. Her cards are magnificent. I have Doreen's cards as
well. I have lots of them, and you know, as I've said to you before, she changed my entire life. I would not be who I am or where I am without her, and I'm always very, very grateful for that. everything I do really stems from the things that I learned back then. And so so I started to have lots of different friends and things in the US because she's American, and I didn't do my initial training with her in America. I went to Ireland, and it was the first time she was kind of in this part of the world. I was 22 at the time, had no idea. There was no podcast. There was no, I had like one deck of cards from her because I thought that would be an interesting thing. The website flashed up at me on the 2nd of January, 2003, I think it was. And I just was like, that's what I'm going to do. I had no I was not me. I just had no previous experience. I did not know what I was going to. I just knew that I had to be there. And so my experience was very much, okay, I'm just going to show up and do this thing, and didn't really know. And here we are. And I was very, it was good in a way because I had no expectations. I was just very open, but equally, there was a part of me that was like, what on earth is happening? I didn't know. All I knew was that, like you, I just had a sense of there being something other than me. I started to have my own angel experiences, and then it kind of grew from there. So yeah.
My husband, just a story. My ex-husband, I'll just be kind to him there. I don't want him to think that I'm still making him be attached to me. But my ex-husband bought me my Doc Martens, and in it was my first Reiki practitioner course. And he said to me, "I bought you a course on a Sunday because you learn every other day of the week. So why don't you just go and learn on Sundays as well?" But in a nice way. And I had no idea. I literally, up until that point, I researched the ends of everything before I did it. The ends of everything. I got this voucher. We call it a voucher now, don't they? A voucher in my Doc Martens, which I got married in. Still got the Docs because I don't use my shoes very much. They're just decoration. They still look as good on today as they did then.
I'm a bit like that too. I'm not really a shoe person either. Yeah, no.
So I got this voucher and I went along on the Sunday. And well, profound. I mean, honestly, I went on with the same lineage to do the Reiki 2 and the Reiki 3 and ended up at Stonehenge, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's run alongside all of my academic and very logical and professional and accreditation.
Which is what I love, actually, because, you and I have a friend in common, and I knew nothing about you, or I didn't have a clue what you did. I honestly, what is it, like 18 months ago, didn't know who you were or anything like that. And I just love how seeing someone like you and doing the work that you do, which is so important in the world and for people like us who really need to actually understand that there's far more help available to us than we would ever know. And then you're also like, oh, and I am quite like you as well. And I am quite like you, and I talk to spirit as well. I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. So like, it's just a really, for me, it's like, oh, brilliant, this is an amazing combination.
I think it's just verification that you don't have to be on one side of the fence or the other, because of course we are everything. I'm you, you're me, we're us, and eventually, we'll return to where we came from. And when we do, our energy is still here. And I know, because I've been. I mean, other people, they say, "Oh, I've got this faith." I don't need faith, Anna.
No, there's no faith, is there? Yeah.
Never needed faith. I knew who, in inverted commas, I knew who God was before I knew his name.
Yeah.
I knew who God was before I knew his name. I've always known there was beyond me. I've always followed my gut. I've followed my heart, and I've followed the voice, that small voice within you that gets louder the more you listen to it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And the thing is, I haven't had a near-death experience. However, when in fact I wrote it on my Facebook page actually last week or so, so obviously I'm talking about angels all the time, and I said, I don't just believe in angels, I know that they exist, because like you, there is this is my experience, this is something that I have experienced in a full body knowing kind of way. It's not something I think, oh, that's a really nice experience to have. Of course it is a nice experience to have, but yeah, it comes, like you, it comes from a deep knowing. And yeah, there's just I don't know. There's no words for it, is there? There isn't any words for it. That's the thing. I'd always try to find the words, but there isn't any words. So that's the thing for me. It doesn't come from like, oh, that's a nice thing. Yeah, that would be really nice. This is what you and I have experienced. Yeah.
What it is. I liken it to if somebody said to me, having known both my birth family, I know some people don't, my birth mother and my father, saying, does your mother exist? Well, of course she did, otherwise I wouldn't. Like, you don't have to believe in your mother existing, do you?
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There is no belief in that. It just is. Yeah.
Otherwise you're not. Otherwise
yeah,
exactly,
you're exactly. And in fact, number one on my card is we exist because you do. So when they said that, it to me, I'll see if I can find it in a minute, but it really is about that they are assigned to us before we even decide to come to Earth, but particularly when we do, to assist us in our experience as human beings. So lots of people will say, well, why don't we just talk to God? Of course you can talk to God. Of course you can talk to anyone, any light being you want to. But the thing is, God, because of our human experience, we all have stresses, we all have difficulties, we all have challenges. And, unless we're all going to sit there on any given day and just be in that pure state of love all of the time, the angels are like those intermediaries, that bridge between that purest love and our human experience. And so they become a way for us to feel supported on the earth, to feel that guidance through our intuition, through the different ways that they speak to us. And they're if you ever wonder, to me, they're God's messengers, but they are also, as you said, we are an extension of that. And so when they're sharing with us, they're just giving us that reminder, aren't they, that we are that, and that they exist because we do. We are on the planet, therefore they are with us, reminding us of our experiences, our lessons, our growth, and until we go, oh yeah, okay, I think it's time for us to go back home, and then we get to just be all of that again, don't we?
Absolutely. And I truly believe that everything is for us and not to us. So I work with, as you know, a lot of people who go through huge challenges, organ transplants, spinal injuries, permanent wheelchair status, all of those things, moving jobs because they can't make accommodations, lots and lots of loss, lots of grief of who they thought they'd be. And I think the fact that I lean into, the angelic realm, my own manifestation, the belief that everything's for a reason. The reason that I lean so heavily into that is because I don't think that it would be tolerable to support such an enormous amount of people if I didn't know that this wasn't all there is, and that actually this is the place where when those things happen for us, there's always a life lesson. I'm going to give you a little one right now that I'm right in the middle of, and then you can do what you want. You can choose to tell us about the cards. You can choose to do a card reading. You can choose to invite somebody up from the audience, do as you wish. But right in the moment, and I'm right in the middle of something, so we won't know what it's about until next month. But next month, I always seem to come back with, this was what happened this month, and this is the result of the angelic forces at work. So at the moment, I've been stuck in my flat for the last 5 days. The lift is broken, and it's not going to be fixed for another 5 days. Right? You'd say, oh no, now what? Well, interestingly, the day that the part is coming, which is the 5th, November the 5th, not yet, I don't need to be out of this flat actually until, which is unusual for me, until November the 5th, when I'm traveling to Luton to speak about accessible travel to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of travel agents. But that lift part is due on the day that I have to leave the house. I'm actually speaking on the 6th. So even if the lift part didn't come until the very end of the day, I could leave this flat at that time and still go and do my talk on the 6th. And since I've been trapped in the flat, also the director of this beautiful gated community that I live in, and I have done for the last 4 years, was then charged to call me because, of course, I'm the only person in a position that can't actually leave the building. It's also meant that the South Wales Fire Brigade are going to be coming and making sure that my evacuation actually has an evacuee chair and that they've got everything in place, which they didn't. And also the brand new person that works with me, Tom, he has been already a concierge in our gated community I didn't know when I took him on a holiday shift, which meant that when people were on holidays, he went and stepped in for a beautiful lady called Diane. And so he has been able to communicate with the organisation, help me make sure the PEEP's in place, accommodate me with helping me with the fire brigade development. He also knows who and what and how I am. So now he's been coming around to here. He came around and cooked me dinner the other day. This morning, he rang and said, if you want me to go to the shops and get anything, let me know. All the concierges, because he goes there, phoned me and said, if shopping comes to your front door, just ring us and we'll make sure the front door's open for the person that's delivering it. So even in the most trapped situation, I've been in, it's a beautiful flat I'm in. I'm not moaning about my home. I've got a roof over my head and I'm very fortunate. But everything I need in whatever situation I end up arrives effortlessly. Without me even asking.
And you've been shown actually that you are really, really supported in your building by gorgeous people, and that actually after this you're going to feel more safe and more supported than you did before. So
absolutely. So things happen for us, not to us, right?
Yeah, they do. And that's a really beautiful thing, isn't it? And there is vulnerability in that. And yet also that is a reminder that actually there are so many wonderful people that want to help us. And we use the term loosely, don't we? Like, oh, you're such an angel, you're an earth angel. But actually we are that for each other. You are that for many, many people. And we are, those people are that for you when you most need it too. So I also think that that there is a beautiful reminder that as we allow ourselves to receive, we can give in the ways that we need to. So I always say to people, I'm sure you would say the same, that I've had to learn to receive, because if I didn't, I'd be dead. Like that, there is a really practical thing about that. People always say, oh, it's really difficult. Of course it's difficult to receive, and keep asking for help, and basically, know that you are reliant on certain things in order to just exist. However, there is also a really connecting thing about that as well, isn't there? There's like really beautiful conversations that you can have, and there are gorgeous people that you would not otherwise never meet. And I always feel like that's part of what I also teach people as well, because so many of us just pour out all of our energy, don't we? And then actually never really learn to receive. And so, yeah, we've talked about that a lot, haven't we? There's always layers to that, isn't there?
Absolutely, layers and layers and layers. And I think that potentially I've been asked to stay in the same place for a number of days so that I can really consolidate some of the work that I've been doing all around the world, of course, because I've been flying around the world for what seems like a whole year. I'm not sure I've been in this flat this many days. And I think, my angel said, hang on, maybe a few days just being grounded.
And if you ground yourself, yeah.
If you won't stop, then maybe we have to break the lift.
That is actually true. It's either that or not being well. And I would actually prefer that the lift broke, right? Rather than just not being well.
100%. I love the fact that you've got your coffee. I'm gonna have a bit of mine.
My throat's a little bit croaky, so I thought, I'm just gonna have a bit of water before.
Well, you know me. Unfortunately, I'm the lady that drinks and promotes reishi coffee, and without it I don't think my health would have been the same. I won't have a day without it. And you couldn't, if somebody said to me, I'll give you £1 million to stop taking the coffee or even the spores which I take every morning, honestly they couldn't give me 6 figures in my bank. There's nothing could make me do it. And I think when something works for you, it works for you, and there's only one way, right? And that's your way. That's my opinion.
Exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And what works for one person doesn't work for another. But actually, how amazing, again, that you get to have something that really helps you and you can share it with somebody else that it might really help as well. So
Exactly. And we've got, hundreds of those testimonials, and the power of belief, it brings me on to that, because of course people will say, well, it's a placebo, MJ, anything you take, we know if you pop something in your mouth, or you believe something to be true, then it will be. And there is a power in the placebo, but there's also some, quite outstanding PubMed articles and knowledge about it, because when we say there's more in heaven and earth than we know, of course we've created lots of systems that really help people to remain with knowing that the bus is coming, knowing that the train is coming, knowing what time they start work, knowing that they can go to the doctor and ask for certain things. But I think that can stick us into kind of rails, a bit like the large pharmaceutical companies. Well, if you get this, you take this. And I've found that when I've really been curious about what I can see is my choice, or what I think I should do, that taking an alternative route, often for me, like I said, my way is the only way, your way is the only way, and using my gut intuition and moving with things that work well for me because I feel they do.
yeah,
I think that's how I'm led. And I just think when people say, oh, it's all airy fairy stuff, and I'm not sure that I'm for that. I've just had a lady now, but by the end of the session I said to her, do you never get a gut instinct? And she went, of course I do. I said, you never get a voice inside that says that's right, or that person, you want to be close to that person.
Stay back. Yeah, stay back. Yeah.
And she said, absolutely. And I said, I'd actually before our session already pulled 3 cards in case she wanted them. And she went, oh yes, please. You wouldn't believe how massive my mum is into all this. And as I read her cards, she became tearful and said, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, but nobody's ever asked me if I wanted to do that. Because I think probably her mum's massive, right? So she maybe doesn't even, or maybe she's rejected it, but I'd already done it, gave her a card.
Exactly.
And the message, she got the message because the message was already there for her.
Exactly. And I also think there's something really what I love about you, MJ, is somebody might say, oh, I'm not really into what Anna does, and that I'm not really sure if I want to do this whole reading thing, and maybe I'm not sure about the angels. However, what you're offering her in that moment is to say, I'm here to talk to you anyway. I'm sure you helped her in a million different ways. And therefore it just becomes an extension of how you're helping someone, and there is a trust in that, isn't there, that you're not trying to suddenly make it all fancy. And the same goes for me. Actually, I've got a couple of friends who would gladly admit, I remember them thinking, okay, that's fine. Anna just, okay, she talks to spirit, she talks to angels, but, fair enough, whatever. And then actually, the more that they've got to know me, because, and as you know, that I have my feet firmly on the ground, and you can talk to me about anything, and it doesn't matter whatever it is. And actually, they just realize that it's just me, that I happen to have more insight into them than I otherwise would. But there's nothing different about me than them, and I'm not trying to sort of have my head in the clouds, and I don't wear a cape, and I don't sort of sit there and just in my little cave the whole time. So there is sort of a bridge, I think, that so many of us can cross, in that some people just want to be met where they are, and if it happens to be that I've pulled you a nice card that says something lovely, then great, isn't it? Yeah, great. Exactly. So you've just really probably reminded her that there is a lot of beauty in that, and it doesn't have to be something that her mum does, or something that somebody sitting there high and mighty. And there is also that too, isn't there? Is almost like again that spiritual judgment that lots of people have been brought up with, like, oh well, if I'm going to talk to you from that perspective, then you must be this and this. But actually, we're just human, aren't we?
We absolutely are human. Well, I believe that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience.
Exactly. Me too.
That's what I feel. Thank you. So what would you like to do?
Therefore, I can be as human as I like, because I can just come back to that loving truth whenever I want. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be a fully fledged human who's going to have my moments and going to have some fun and do silly things and be playful. And because isn't that why we're here? You know,
isn't it? It's to discover, remain curious, try things out. Maybe they're not all for us, and then put them down again and pick something else up. I think it's beautiful. I love being human. I'm not planning on doing it all of eternity, though.
To be fair, I was going to say, could I just, I'm going to publicly say this. I'd quite like to, if I do come back at all, and I've got my reservations about that, I'd quite like to be a cat, to be honest. I've got some really beautiful cats, and I think to be a well looked after, loved cat feels like quite a great option at this point. Because I feel like I've sort of been there and done that with the human thing. but that's just me, I might change my mind. And I also think that, even in this lifetime, I as I'm sure you have had that experience where I look at it and go, wow, that was a pretty full-on decision to do this body and this life and all of that. And I look at it and I think, yeah, but I think I also said, okay, but, in my 20s, I'm going to meet these people. And in my 30s, I'm going to meet these people. And in my 40s, I'm going to meet these people. And that is going to be my reward. And that is going to be the thing that helps me to get through this whole crazy experience that I've just decided. So to me, I've always met the right people, including you. I've always felt that no matter what is going on, there is somebody there that says, hey, like, I've got you. There's something other than this really stressful experience that you're supposed to have. And yeah, I do have a really strong sense that I did really choose the body and the life that I have. I have a really strong sense of that, even though sometimes I really wish that that wasn't the case. And I will never say that that isn't true. I'm very clear on that I do have my days where I'm like, what the heck is happening? But I also, because of the beautiful things and because of the people, I actually am not completely sure whether I would change that, because I wouldn't be me. So I do think I decided, okay, guys, I'm going to do this lifetime and it's going to be pretty intense, but I've got incredible people. And I do see that as my biggest gift in this lifetime. Yeah.
I told a story this morning, and it's an unusual place to tell it, but of course it was Halloween last night, and I do tell people that I'm a witch. Okay, I do it as a joke, and it's not really a joke, really. So I do tell people, look, I'm a witch, and remember that King James made it up, so we're not really just powerful women. But I have a memory, a dream, a knowledge, I don't know what you want to call it, of this lifetime, and I was like being on a balcony. And interestingly, I've just done the Silva method of mind control, and our future is in the left and our past is in the right. So when we deal with something in the present, then we deal with it on the screen of our life 30 degrees above us. Now on my left, in this dream, knowledge, understanding, the being with me said, so we were looking over this balcony, and it's like a circus ring, that's all I can call it, which that I'd say that's life, right? This circus ring, and they're saying, so come on then, before you go down, what you're choosing? And I said, yes, I'm choosing that. And they went, no. I said, choose. And I said, no, you just asked me what I'm choosing, and I'm having it all, because I'm not going back this time, right? This is it. All of it, every bit of it. And it was very chaotic, very full. It was a bit like a circus, but lots and lots of things happening. And they were like, that's not what I offered. And I said, well, actually, you said, what do you want? And I've just told you. So I am having it. That is happening. And I've made my decision. So I know in my deepest self that I chose all of this chaos, even though to them and me, that one that was in my future, said, that's a lot. That's a lot, really. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not planning on doing it in halves. I'm not planning on doing
exactly. You and I get the feeling on a human and soul level, we don't really do halves. I am not a mediocre person in any capacity. I really wish that I was, but I don't do like middle ground. I I am, if I feel something, as you know, well know, I can be like, what? Like, and I'm just all the feelings. But equally, this is why I can be joyful and with you right now, because that is authentic. That is real. Because there's not, I'm not very good at just being okay. Like I'm not an okay person. But that's you're right, completely. You're completely right. I think we just went, okay, guy, yeah, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. And so I do kind of think, although I did say to a friend the other day, I said, oh, yeah, not really up for coming back unless maybe we decide to share it together. And she goes, oh, definitely I will. And I was like, okay, I might just negotiate that a little bit. But I think you're right. And, you know, of course, we don't always have the reasons why things happen. We don't understand all of it. And, you know, like I said, I wouldn't ever want to repeat some of the experiences I've had. However, you know, as you have, in a different way, I had a really strong feeling when I did a regression, which was kind of like a pre-life experience, that I was very clear of why I was coming here and what I was doing. And every so often I do like to remind myself of that, because there was clearly obviously a good idea in the whole thing somewhere.
Yeah, I have to trust my my spiritual self that she knew what she was saying, even though it was a tough gig. You know, I think there's things to do after this that perhaps mean that I just can't come back again. I think I have to be part of the whole. I really do feel I have to be part of the whole. I do.
Yeah.
It's been a tiring iteration.
But you know how amazing it also, coming back to your near-death experience, because I've never had that, really, not in the same way. I just think, how amazing is it to also know, because I also believe that we have what's called exit points. So that we do go when we're supposed to go, but there are certain times where in our lives, and I've definitely had a couple of those, even with it's just being sort of near misses and things where I could have potentially made a decision to go, where we actually do make a really conscious choice from a soul perspective of like, is this it? And you were going, actually, no, I don't think it is. I think actually the next few years are going to be my most impactful. So, okay, come on then. Like, and actually that's really amazing too, isn't it? That your body, as you know it right now, was going, not so sure about this. And then you were like, oh, okay, yeah, we've still got work to do.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, it's, you know, it's been, I believe, as you say, I personally would not change anything, including the experience, what everyone calls a near-death experience, the NDE people. I never even knew about NDE people before it happened. And people were then telling me I should read these stories of other people that it happened. And what's amazing, right, is that every story I hear, it's like, well, oh, you know too, that the peace that surpasses all understanding becomes yours at that moment. You understand too that this is, you traveled that vision too. I mean, it just, and I'd never read any of these. There are other people that read them all their lives and then had one. But I was the one that didn't even know that that thing was a thing. I'd never even, I literally had, I mean, how, when I was already, you know, Reiki and crystals and all that, and I'd really looked at all of that as I'd gone through my life. I'd leaned into that spiritual side, but it was like that, you know, my guides had gone, you know what? No, if you do read about this, you'll only think that when it's happened, it was because you read about it. But because I had literally no idea that ND, didn't even know the acronym until about 6 months ago.
I know, exactly. Well, this is exactly like I was when I was doing this course with Doreen Virtue. They're all people that were my age now, all people in their 40s and 50s. I was 22 going, what the hell is that? I don't know what that is. So like, and all these people that were being like, oh yeah, I've done readings for like 10 years. And I'm thinking, I don't even really know what that is. So I think, like you, it was supposed to be that way so that I could just have a completely sort of fresh experience of it.
Yeah, because when I said I came back, and I just said, look, I don't go alone, don't do it deliberately, but it's really good over there. Like, it really, really is. And imagine, I already had the faith. I knew who God was before I knew his name. I've had some trials and tribulations. Now I get the chance to live here without any fear. Literally, not even a jot of a fear, because it's a beautiful experience. It was completely incredible. And the peace that surpasses all understanding, that line in the Bible, there's also one in the Quran that's quite similar. If you look at Hindu faith, they also talk about that. That is a thing that I never, what a gift to have that memory now of having that time. So I'm grateful.
Yeah, I am. I'm not scared of death at all. I have to say, the human part of me, who's experienced quite a lot of grief in the last couple of years, I am more like, hey, don't leave me, I can't do this again. Like, I'm more that person. Like, I'm not up for my friends and family leaving me, thank you very much. That is the bit that makes me go, no, you're supposed to be here with me on the earth, thank you very much. But if it was me, I'd be like, oh, okay, great, that's fine. So I have pain about that part. I don't have pain about me going. If I said to you, okay, MJ, this is my time, then of course I'd be a bit like, I'm not sure about that. But I'm not scared about it. But I am attached to my people, and I want my people to be with me,
That's because you're an angel. That's because you're an earth angel. That's why you have to be connected to the humans that you're serving.
I know, that's the thing. That is the thing. And that's the kind of paradox of it, is that the people in my life are everything to me. And that's how I get to share this love that I have. And at the same time, I also know that I'm kind of don't really belong here either. I don't, it's kind of, I love my humans and people more than anything. I also don't really understand humanity either. So there is that sort of push-pull thing that makes me go, I love being here, and also what the heck is happening? I don't get it. So yeah, but that's part of it, I think, isn't it?
It's the dichotomy. It gives us that constant curiosity and the balance, the yin and yang balance that goes, I know that I practically enjoy learning and applying and helping and supporting and emancipating and engaging and educating. But at the same time, actually, I quite like just being and knowing and experiencing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always a bit torn between the idea that actually that we are here to, do the things that we do. And obviously, I mean, someone like you, oh my gosh, I think of the legacy and the beautiful map of light that you're creating, and that is not to be underestimated. And also, if you said to me, Anna, I can't do this anymore, and actually I'm not going to show up in the same way, like, you'd be perfect as you are. You'd be that this is, like, none of that actually is why you're here. Although it is a big, huge, beautiful thing that you get to share, you get to just be you. And that's, I remember, and I'm sure you did, when you were really unwell, I remember there were many years in my life, and there might be people listening now that are going like, I can't really do anything right now. I feel a lot of pain, or I'm really sick, or actually my life's fallen apart, and what am I doing here? Like, what's my purpose? And I was in that position, when I was about 18. In fact, this is when I got my angel cards, from Doreen. I didn't know who she was. I remember sitting there. In fact, I was with our mutual friend, and I was sitting in this room, and everyone again was older than me, and we all started to pull a card from this deck from Doreen Virtue, and mine was, you are an earth angel, you've come here to share light and love and everything. And I was like, and again, I was 20, so didn't have a clue. And I just said, yeah, but I don't do anything, because I really didn't at that time. I didn't do anything of what I do now. And the lady looked at me, and she looked at me straight in the eyes, and she said, Anna, you do because you are. You do because you are. And I always like to share that with people, because yes, of course, we are meant to share in the beautiful ways that we feel guided to, and do the things that make us feel joyful, and obviously have some kind of service sometimes to that. However, if we're not in a position to be able to do that right in this moment, we are worthy, we are purposeful because we exist, you know, and that's a lot of some of the kind of unraveling or undoing that I work with a lot of people, because so much of our worth is tied up in all these different sort of capacities. And actually, when we have bodies that aren't necessarily capable of, you know, running thousands of miles or doing this massive job or high paid status thing, we can really tie ourselves up in knots about what it all means. And we're good people as we are, you know.
Exactly. In fact, you know, when I do a meditation that allows me to focus on the people that I love, as you just talked about. Your people are everything. And if you just, well, I do every morning, sit in my bed and think about the person I love, or I focus on a certain human. I usually select a different human. I don't know why, because love is endless, and I don't think it's the case that when I focus on one, I've used up that love kind of thing. But there's a kind of a, I'll use that
it
one.
Sort of focuses you though, doesn't it? It focuses us on that thing, yeah.
On that person, and then I draw that love into my heart, because obviously they're always emitting it towards me because they love me and I love them. And then I really fill my own body with it. And then of course I believe truthfully, and this is actually very, very logical, that our energy field for everybody, it goes out as far as the ends of our fingers, which is why our arms are the lengths they are. That's what they say about our energy field.
Ooh, well, I love that.
Yeah, so do I. And the legs, that's why we're the size we are. We're meant to be. That's our field. That's our sphere. That's our sphere of influence. And actually, when somebody is before this, so if you've got somebody close to you, if you can put your arms out and there's any crossover, you're already communicating, because only 9% comes out of your mouth.
Can you feel me, MJ? Can you feel me?
You know I can. You know I can. But then when I've filled myself with love, I then filled my building with love. I push it out in a color, and I choose a color for it. And then once I filled the building, I fill the area. And then when I filled my area, my region, I fill the city that I'm in. And then when I filled the city, I imagine being over the map and fill the country I'm in. And then I take that and I take it right around the world. And then often, if I'm really feeling expansive, I'll send it out to all the other planets that I can see and know, and then all the ones into deep dark space that I'm not yet aware of. But you know, I think we can be powerful, just our imagination and our capacity for sharing our energy is, and that's called, I mean, that's a very practical thing. It's called the sixth phase meditation, and it's by it's actually by Vishen, not from Vishen, but Vishen runs Mind Valley, if anyone likes all of that self-development stuff.
Oh wow,
and
love that.
I do that every day. And it's
and how incredible is that we get to do that, you know, like, again, it's not belittling anything else, but that's pretty amazing, isn't it? You know, it's pretty amazing that we get to do something like that. Yeah, exactly. And even this conversation, if I and you and I have this conversation and one person listens to it, like, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's pretty cool. And we know that there is, we've got people in the chat. We've got,
I was going to say, should I pull a card? Because we could chat probably for 2 hours, you and I.
Yeah, we've only got 7 minutes. So in the last 7 minutes, 7 days, 7 minutes, God supposedly made the world in 7 days. So I think in 7 minutes we can do what we want. Time is, I don't even believe in time. I mean, that's the thing.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, you and I probably, you know, we always push the boundaries on our meetings, don't we? In fact, sometimes we have to just go, bye. Yeah, bye.
We're in the last second. Google Meet's going to bin us.
Oh, sorry, bye. Yeah, bye. Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay. So here's a message from the angels for everyone, for the collective. I don't have a clue what it's going to be. I'm just shuffling right now, but we're just going to set the intention that it is the best message that we could all have right now for our day, for whenever we're listening. Oh, this is Mother. Oh, interestingly, this is an interesting one after what you just said, MJ, about not being able to get out the house, because this is Mother Nature. It says, if you need a new perspective or inspiration, we encourage you to get outside in nature. It is here you will often be more able to receive our guidance clearly and feel connected to the abundant possibilities of life. If you could do with feeling more grounded, do not underestimate the power of hugging a tree or walking directly on the earth. Feel the energy of beautiful Mother Earth and let her support you. We love you. You're angels. So to me, also in this moment right now, even if we're sitting and we're not able to be amongst the trees, we can feel that connection that we have with the earth beneath our feet. We can feel our hands, perhaps we could feel our faces, and just be present to breathing in the space that we're in. And perhaps, like you said, visualization is a powerful thing. Perhaps we can visualize ourselves as a tree, visualize those roots going down into the earth, getting ourselves in a space where we can go, okay, here I am, here's my energy. What is it that I need and my body needs for the rest of the day? So it doesn't even have to be you actually going outside. You could stick your head outside of a window. You could, look at a picture of your favorite flower. You can cuddle an animal that you have in your home, anything that will connect you to that sense. I think, to be honest, this is more about us recognizing, as you and I have just said, we are part of the earth, regardless of whether we are a divine being having a human experience. We are here to be on the earth. This is my major lesson of, as much as I love the idea of just being like, yeah, hey, great, I'm not my body, I am my body. This is me right now, and this is you, and we're having this conversation. So we may as well be here as present as we can.
Absolutely. And the memory of all the trees I've ever hugged, I've got one in London where I put my feet up on the tree. I've been known next to the Imperial War Museum, literally just to be on that tree with my feet up, shoes off, chair right up to it, and meditating there. I don't mind meditating and being daft in public and hugging a tree. So if you can get out today, then go and hug a tree. If there is a space you can go, I've got water outside here, near water, then I find it incredibly grounding, incredibly powerful to be near water. But if you can't, use the power of your mind, because that's why we were given it.
Exactly. And the other one that's just behind that is own your magnificence. Self-confidence is not about ego. It is about honoring you. It is about remembering that you are indeed a divine being who is entirely loved and lovable. It is sharing who you are unapologetically and owning your gifts. It is caring about others without letting their opinions define you. Though, as you stand in your truth and have confidence in yourself, others will very often have faith in you too. Own your magnificence. We love you. You're angels.
I love the angels too, and I'm grateful for both those messages in the last couple of minutes. And I'm also grateful for you and your human experience coming here today to have this conversation. I hope that those people that listen to this and those in our community that will watch this later, because this will be uploaded, really feel the magic that happened today, because there's nothing more can happen between you and I when we get together, literally. And I do think it comes to that authenticity, the fact that we show up as us. We're okay, warts and all. I'm okay with the mistakes I make, because they're the things that help me learn. And I'm all right with the gifts that I get on account of the fact that I've made the mistakes to get them. I think that that's the human experience. So I love being human, but I also love the fact that you are my angel lady. And when I referred to Gemma just before we go, and I said, can you invite my angel lady? She was like, just remind me of all of our hundreds and hundreds of people, which particular one is that?
Well, to be honest, MJ, like, that is a complete honor for me to be referred to that, especially because you do have so many angels in your sphere. So thank you for being one of mine in the last year or so. I really can't say enough how you've helped me. So.
No, well, I mean, it certainly never needs saying, and it's always available. But thank you for that. I will take that. But where can people get hold of your cards? I've got them. It's not fair that nobody else has. What's your
the best way that you can check them out is to go and find me on Amazon, Anna Grace Taylor, Messages of Grace, Angel Cards, and also my website, annagracetaylor.com.
AnnaGraceTaylor.com. It's not difficult. And if anyone does need to know Anna's name, if you've not written it down, you can't remember Anna Grace Taylor, which of course Grace is a middle name. How can you not forget? Yeah, if you can't remember a name, message me, DM me, and I will direct you to annagracetaylor.com. And also we'll put this on the community on this recording, so anyone that wants to. And are you okay if this goes out in snippets and with a little bit of blurb about what we did today on social media?
Absolutely, you can use whatever you want to use.
Thank you, darling. It means that we can put you out there and share this message with everyone, particularly because, you know, they all need to come to annagracetaylor.com without a doubt.
Thank you, my lovely. Sending you
Right,
so
I'm
much
gonna say
love, everyone.
bye. I love you, million,
Bye-bye.
billion.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.